The countdown to the baseball season continues. We are about a month away. We've got World Baseball Classic stuff. We have Olympic talk. We have women's professional baseball. We have more division previews. Oh, by the way, now there's a war chest. So we're going to get into that. So kick back on this lovely morning because another episode of Hitting Home, it starts right now. And welcome everybody back to another edition of Hitting Home, only here on the good old 609 Sports Talk Radio, coming to you guys live this morning, and we have a whole heap of topics to get into. As always, we are your hosts, Sam Nelson, Dustin Reese. Brother, how are we on this? I don't know how your weather over there is going this morning, but I've had nothing but snow for the past freaking 2 days.
Hey, for once, it's better than the weather over by you.
Oh yeah, what's it feel like summer over there?
I mean, it's 21 today, but we don't have snow.
Oh, you lucky SOB.
It's gonna be 54 on Friday.
Oh my God, you going to the beach?
Maybe might go swimming in the pool.
So look, we have a lot to get into today. We're going to talk some Olympics in baseball later on in the show. We're going to give our thoughts on that. You know, the Winter Olympics are just wrapped up. A lot of NHL players are over there. Of course, we know the NBA players go to their Olympics. We're going to talk some baseball into that. Of course, we're going to get into some women's professional baseball starting up this year. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into some World Baseball Classic. We're going to get into some AL and NL West previews. But to start things off this week, Dustin, I'm going to let you introduce this. There is a war chest.
There is a war chest.
What is a war chest? What is the war chest? Please explain.
So, in other words, to put it lightly, the war chest is basically Major League Baseball's way of saying there's going to be a lockout without physically saying there's going to be a lockout. So the war chest is something that Rob Manfred and I guess the executives and the higher ups are kind of putting together right now across Major League Baseball. How they're getting this money, I have no idea. But the war chest basically is each team is going to be given $75 million in funds next year to basically disperse as they see fit, whether it's through players, whether it's through whatever. But each team is going to be getting $75 million to play with through what they call this war chest. So if that doesn't scream a lockout is coming, I don't know what will. The fact that baseball is saying, we're just going to give all you guys $75 million next year and you're going to do what you want with it, that to me sounds like they've already made the decision that a lockout is coming. They're just not going to publicly announce it yet.
My initial reaction to this was, are the Dodgers just going to defer all their money?
Might as well do it anyways.
Oh, God. Andrew, what's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in again. Yeah, they are on at 1 today. We're going to see Brad Keller for the first time this spring, so I'm excited to see that. You know, Justin Crawford's looking pretty solid at the dish early in the spring, so I'm happy about some things with the Phils for right now. But, of course, you know, the first spring training game, the typical Phillies formula, Justin Crawford, leadoff double, and then he didn't move. But is what it is at this point. But yeah, I just, you know, we thought we had some optimism last week when we were talking about this, you know, with the whole Tony Clark situation, the Players Association. We had some optimism. Then this news broke. And yeah, I feel like we are just we're at the point now where there's no return in my eyes. We are getting exactly what we were thinking. We're going to get a lockout. And how long it goes, I don't know. But Bryce Harper yesterday. So he was doing an interview on 94.1 WIP, which is our local station for Philly sports, which, by the way, if you listen to them, if anybody who watches us with our Eagles talk, if you listen to WIP for any Philly sports talk, you're doing it wrong because they have no clue what they're doing. But anyway, so they asked him two very important questions during this interview. The first question they asked him, do you think there will be a 2027 season? And he was kind of like, I think if we could get in there, hammer these things out, figure this stuff out, he thinks there will be a season. However, the next question they asked him, well, that was the second question. The reason I started off with that one is because the first question they asked him was, do you think the 2027 season starts on time? They couldn't get the question out of their mouth, and the answer was no.
Yep.
So, yeah, the war chest to me seems like, yeah, we're screwed. That's what it's telling me.
Mm-hmm.
We are entering a very bad time in baseball. And
what these players fail to realize, kind of like how you said, like they couldn't even get the question out of his mouth before Bryce Harper said the season wasn't going to start on time or he doesn't think it will. You have to take into account on all the people that are going to be hitting free agency next year. They're not going to wait around and wait to see like when the baseball season starts, if it starts. You're going to have a lot of these players go to Japan. You're going to have a lot of these players go to Korea and some of these other countries just to play baseball next year. How is that going to affect Major League Baseball then going forward after that as well? Because chances are these Japanese teams aren't going to give these guys a one-year deal. It's going to be a multi-year deal.
Yeah, and I mean, and then when you look at players that are currently just ending their arbitration eligibility that are going to be up for their first kind of big extension in free agency. Like, perfect example again, Jesus Luzardo. He's up on arbitration. He is now entering his free agent year. And, Dave Dombrowski said today he wants to be a Philly long-term, and the Phillies would love to keep him long-term. None of these guys are going to sign extensions in season now.
Yeah.
So what are we? So wait, now the war chest? Back to, I have a question about it because you probably did a little more reading into it than I have. I've had some other things I've had to read up on with this, but is it for players exclusively? Is it for Is it for employees in the organization? Is it just for everything?
So it's basically a $2 billion reserve fund created by the team owners to protect against financial losses during a potential lockout or work stoppage. It provides roughly $75 million per team to cover loss of revenue from tickets, sponsorships, and broadcasting. So basically, the $75 million fund that these teams are getting is going to pay pretty much not everything, but pay a lot of what the organization needs to pay in order to prevent going bankrupt. Like, it's going to pay a portion of your ticket sales, your merchandise sales. It's going to pay a portion of your TV revenue that you would have coming in. So it's basically money that you're using to keep your franchise afloat, but it's not money that you're going to be using to pay the players.
And like I said, the Dodgers are probably wondering, how can we defer this?
They don't need to defer it. They have $430 million in TV money coming in every year, so they'll just use that for 2 years.
Yeah, that's the big problem with that. Is like some of these TV deals just are too big. The Dodgers TV deal it maxes out everyone else. No one has that type of a TV deal.
No.
And no team has. And here's the thing. I know I've always said, I don't feel bad for millionaire athletes, and I also don't feel bad for billionaire owners. There is something. Not every owner of a Major League Baseball team is worth the same amount of money.
No, they're not.
The Dodgers ownership is loaded. We clearly know that. Their TV deal is loaded. And their revenue is loaded by freaking every sale you could think of. They're the Los Angeles freaking Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this doesn't sound good. We are just to me, it sounds like we're not even going to discuss anything until after the season now.
I mean, I don't even think they're going to discuss after the season. I honestly feel the decision has already been made from the players' union what they're going to do. Decision has already been made from the owners what they want to do, and they are literally not going to talk until the day before the CBA expires. I really don't think anyone's going to even say anything until the day before the CBA expires.
And that drives me nuts because the season's going to end what, mid to late October? Because
About there, yeah.
the postseason's gotten pushed back
Yeah, it'll be
into
like
early
it'll be
November.
late October. Then you'll have the GM meetings like 2 weeks later, so you might have a little bit of internal conversation between the GMs, but nothing that's really going to get leaked to the public just because the GM meetings are like the winter meetings. So you might
Yeah.
have a little bit of internal conversations going on in November, but then once you get to that December 1st, you're gonna have all the conversations come out, and it's gonna be a short 3-4 hour day, and then the lockout. Like that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, like I mean, like we have a month. Can we not try to? I mean, they're not going to figure it out in November. We already know that it's
No.
not going to be something. You've had almost 4 years to figure this out. When you came to your a little agreement heading into 2022, and you stopped that lockout. But you've had all those years to figure out something long term, and you haven't. So you're telling me you're going to figure it out from November 1st to December 1st? No chance.
But
But
if
at
you go
least could
back to
we try to?
2022 though, too, there would have been a lockout in 2022 had we not had COVID. They could not afford to go into a lockout in 2022 due to COVID, so they had no choice but to basically settle with the current CBA that we had. Like they had no choice but to be like, you know what, we have no choice if we already lost too much money the last 2 years, we can't afford to lose money again. But had we not had COVID in 2020, I guarantee the lockout would have taken place already in 2022. Like it was not heading in a good direction in 2022 either, but it's just the fact that they had to settle on whatever agreements they made because they had no choice. So now you just had these last 5 years of everybody festering like we never wanted to agree to that deal in the first place, but we didn't have a choice.
Yeah, because I mean, how much? I mean, look how much revenue they lost in COVID. I mean, yeah, they were on TV, but there were no fans
And
because of restrictions in Canada. Toronto had to play in a minor league stadium in Florida.
then the first 2 months, first 3 months of 2021 was limited attendance too. So for a year and a half, you weren't getting any sort of real consistent money going into any of these franchises. That's why the 2022 lockout was pretty much thrown out the window after COVID happened because these teams had no choice but to agree to whatever was being presented to them.
Because I went to a game, I went to a couple games in early 2021, and yes, fans were allowed in. When I went to Citizens Bank Park, someone else thinks the same as me.
Well, when I went to like what you were saying, when I went to Wrigley in 2021, the first game that was allowed like after the fans could come back, I sat in the outfield bleachers. Every other row you could sit in. So you could sit in the front row, you couldn't sit in the second row, you could sit in the third row, you couldn't sit in the fourth row, whatever. Then you had like every four spots were a seat. So if I'm paying for 2 tickets, yeah, I can sit next to who I like my wife and my kids, I can sit directly next to them because we're in the same family. But then the next group of people that would purchase tickets in that row would have to sit like 4 seats down. So it's like even the people that were getting in, you had so much limited attendance that the money you were going to generate across 81 home games would have been equivalent to what you would have gotten 25 home games if you had full attendance. Like it was just a fraction of what you could have earned.
Well, now see where you were. You actually had. Now you went. You say you went with your family. You had better. You had it better than we did. My friend and I, when we went, he bought 2 tickets next to each other, but they had every other seat zip tied shut, so you couldn't sit in it. We had to sit. Even if I was with my friend, I had to sit with an empty seat between us.
Nice.
They had us all kinds of messed up in 2021. COVID baseball was one of the weirdest times in my life. Football kind of survived it. They really didn't like. All right, they had the attendance issue, but they're the NFL. They made it up. Trust me. But it didn't seem that different with the NFL.
No.
Now the
Because
NBA and the
you
bubble.
don't see the fans on the NFL like you do in baseball.
Yeah.
Like when you're watching baseball on TV, you're looking behind the pitcher. You can see everything behind home plate. Nothing is there. It looks so weird. You see a pop fly. You're seeing like all the bleachers and everything on the side. Nothing is there versus football. The only time you really see the fans is on a touchdown. Otherwise, the way that cameras originated, you're looking down on the field, sideline to sideline, so you don't really get a view of how many people are in the seats or not.
Yeah, you are right. It was actually funny. Remember when we actually had like a version of that in Baltimore during all those riots a few years ago?
Yeah.
And then all the fans were standing at the gate and watching the game. That's what Phillies fans were doing during 2020 because at Ashburn Alley, there's a gate there to let fans in. There were literally a group of like 30 fans watching the game from that gate, and you could hear them every time somebody did something good. It was awesome. And then, of course, we had the cardboard cutouts of each
Yep.
in each seat. I was like, okay, this is a bizarre. That was a bizarre time.
I mean, as weird as it was, though, and I'm gonna sound really strange saying this, I didn't mind it as much as some people did when it came to not having fans, because it made you appreciate the game a little bit more, if that makes sense. Because instead of hearing like all the outside crowd noise and all the drunk people and this and that, it got back to kind of that feel you had when you were a kid. Just playing baseball in the backyard, having nobody watching you. You hear all the players chattering, you hear all the dugout chattering from the side, and just all these things that you wouldn't normally hear during a Major League Baseball game that you would typically hear during like a high school game or just during a 9-on-9 game in your backyard. That was like the one thing I did enjoy from COVID, is like it made you appreciate where the game has gone and just kind of brought you back to being a kid with the sounds you had.
Oh yeah. And then I appreciate it when we were able to come back, like the 2022,
Oh, yeah.
like Red Hawk 2022 Phillies playoff run, World Series run. I was there. I was there for the Rhys Hoskins bat spike. I was there for the Bryce Harper. This was 2023, but the Bryce Harper stare down of Arcia the year after. I was at the NLCS against the Padres. I didn't go to the World Series. That was too expensive. But I was able to appreciate having 40,000 idiots again screaming like nuts. But the one thing, you know what really also got me during the COVID baseball time? The walk-off celebrations.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone's just like 8 feet apart clapping. It's like, wow, what's going on here? But yeah, I agree with you. They had no choice in 2022 to kind of just reach like a tentative agreement. So it's like, look, we have to. I mean, what did we do? Did we miss what, like 2 months, like maybe 2-3 weeks of spring training because of that?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, because the Phillies signed Schwarber and Castellanos late. Schwarber
No,
got signed.
spring training started on time game wise, but the pitchers and catchers ended up reporting 2 weeks late. So instead of them having that extra 10 days, it was basically everybody arrived at the same time. You had 6 days of practice and then games started. So none of the games got delayed. It was just the original pitchers and catchers didn't get to report as early as they wanted to and things like that were affected by it.
Yeah, by the way, my mistake. No, Schwarber signed before the quote unquote lockout. Castellanos signed late. He signed right after.
And I'm honestly surprised they agreed to a 5-year deal, because it was only supposed to be like a tentative agreement. I thought it was going to be a 2 or a 3-year kind of tentative agreement, just to be like, we're signing this until everything is back to normal, and then we'll renegotiate it. I'm surprised they actually gave them the 5-year window, but now it's like these people haven't talked for 5 years. Like, you would have thought that some sort of planning and conversations would have been going on in the last 5 years, knowing how close you were to a lockout in 2022.
Yeah, like that's what I can't believe, is the fact that we've had all this time to do something about this, and we've been sitting here, and then, but again, Dodgers showed up, and all this stuff has happened with deferring money. Nothing really became a major thing until the Ohtani signing, and then the deferred money started. That's when this all started. But yeah, the war chest just seems like it's waving the white flag on any chance of getting something done before risking a lockout.
Yep.
Because of course, when December 1st hits, that means the dates you're going to look at, because we're not going to have winter meetings.
Because winter meetings are like a week and a half after that.
So we're not going to have that. Then we're going to start going into spring training. Pitchers and catchers are not going to report. We're probably going to not have a spring training.
Well, I think you can still have. I think they'll still have the winter meetings, because, I mean, if they go into a lockout on December 1st, the winter meetings are probably just going to be an extended negotiation period, or it's just going to be pretty much whoever normally goes to these winter meetings, instead of like talking with agents and signing players. I think it's going to be a lot more of, okay, let's try to figure some shit out here the next 4 days and bring it back to the table when we leave here.
I mean, if you go to the winter meetings, who the hell's going to sign? No one's going to
Yeah,
sign
no one's
anything.
gonna say, that's what I'm saying. It'll be probably much just a bunch of owners, coaches, and maybe the players' union reps just kind of getting an extended 4 days without having the players be there and be like, all right, let's get some shit ironed out here.
Yeah.
Lock us in a conference room. We can't come out till we figure something out. No food, no
Yeah,
bathroom breaks, no nothing. Just they got to stay in here until we figure something out.
just have two guys in black suits stand outside the door like mob hitmen and just be like, I'm out of here. Opens the door and they just shake their head. No, you're not.
I gotta go to the bathroom. That's what the floor is for.
But yeah, I mean, there's no real concern. I mean, there's going to be concern from now up until then, but the real concern will be is if we are into, this time next year and it's like no one's talk like, all right, now they're good. Now here goes pitchers and catchers. Here goes spring training. And then that's the bad part. When you start cutting it into the weeks of spring training, that's when you know the regular season is going to be cut because we're going to need to have like at least a 4 to 6 week ramp up for these guys to get back into shape.
Yeah.
Whether it's just like a week of workouts and then 3 weeks of spring training or like something along those lines. But yeah, this is like I said, I thought last week when the whole stuff with the PA started, it sounded like maybe there was a little bit of optimism or like, hey, maybe there will be some leeway here now. And then I hear the war chest, and they're just waving the white flag. They're saying no, there will be no start on time to the season. And then when players are coming right out and saying no without hesitation,
Right.
hey, we're screwed. We're screwed. So that's why I keep telling people, enjoy the season. Don't criticize your team. Don't sit there. Don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to go because the Nationals suck." Oh, I'm not going to go because
I'm going to criticize my team just because the way I look at it, and I don't know why more teams didn't look at it like this. You know what is on the horizon. Why the F would you not go all in and spend as much money as possible this year? Like it's on the horizon. Like all of these teams should have been just overpaying for anybody they wanted this offseason. Even if it's on a 1-year deal. 1 year $60 million, 1 year $70 million. Like do what you have to do to get whoever you want on your team for this year and try to win a World Series this year because you don't know what's going to happen after this year.
Well, one team did. Someone paid Kyle Tucker $60 million a year.
But like that's why like this year I'm paying more attention to spring training this year than I have in the past, just because it's like I'm not gonna have this next year. Like I appreciate being able to watch some of these prospects more in this setting than you typically would. Like I appreciate the way some of this stuff works. So it's like I'm gonna actually enjoy watching the games more than I typically would. But I'm also not gonna hesitate to criticize because it's like we're at the trade deadline. You're in a playoff hunt. Who gives a shit what prospects you're giving away? Give away 9 prospects for Tarik Skubal. I don't care. Try to win this year because you don't know what's going to happen next year.
Yeah. And I mean, like we said, they had to reach that agreement in 2022 because of the COVID stuff. Man, this could have long repercussions if this goes long enough.
Yes. Speaking of Tarik Skubal, I've lost a little respect for him, but that's a topic for another day.
Is this WBC related?
Yeah.
Well, we could jump right into that then. But before we do, I do want to say this. I just want to ask you this question because I'm not here at this point yet. Like, we know we're going to have some type of a short season next year. Are we at the point of fear of not even having one at all? Like, just from our point of view.
So, I mean, obviously, I have some inside sources that you don't have just for work and work-related stuff. And one of the sources that I trust the most says we might not have baseball till June 2028.
I'll be on my roof. See you later.
Like, he does not expect any baseball at all to take place in 2027 apart from minor league baseball, KBO stuff, independent leagues. And then depending on how many players end up leaving Major League Baseball for some of these other leagues, he thinks the negotiations can drag into 2028 as well, to the point where someone's going to cave. And it might be a similar situation to this where it's like we can't afford to lose any more money. Let's come to another tentative 5-year agreement, and then it just same cycle repeats itself in 5 years.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I would love to have another tentative agreement taking place, but I mean, that's kind of just like what that's like basically what NFL teams do with void years and contracts, and they're just like taking those big cap hits and kicking the can down the road, and we're like, oh, we'll get there when we get there. Like honestly, like the Eagles are doing that right now. They're getting the dead money from a lot of their void years are kicking their butts. But yeah,
The thing with the war chest only covers 1 year. So it's not like this was an infinite war chest that they can just keep carrying over year to year to year. This only covers 1 year. So this would only cover 2027. So if these talks go longer than 27 and now you're going into 2028 and you still haven't made any progress, there's not going to be a war chest in 2028 to bail people out.
no. I think this is them kind of saying, look, we'll give you this year. We'll see if we can knock out an agreement and not lose the entire season. But we're not bailing you out after that. So it's either we come to an agreement and we save this, or no one's going to have anything. And that's the other thing, we're talking about the loss of fan revenue for 2020 and early 2021. We also got to remember 2020, there was only, a 60-game season?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole nother bunch of money that you lost because you didn't have games. I mean, we had restricted schedules. You couldn't even travel to half these places to play.
No, because it was literally the Central versus the Central. So the AL and the NL Central played each other. The East and the East played each other, and the West and the West played each other. That's literally all you faced.
I mean, we had the World Series in alternate sites.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were trying to keep it in warm weather places like Texas and California. Like that again. That was one of the most bizarre times in baseball I've ever seen. Also, the COVID MVP was Didi Gregorius, and I will not stand for anything else.
Didi.
I love Didi his first year in Philly. Then he couldn't hit worth a damn for the next 3 years. But now that we've talked war chest and lockout for a half hour almost, let's jump over to the WBC. You want to talk some preview for it. You are a little ticked off with a certain Tarik Skubal. Why are you mad at him? Because before you go, I will say this. You follow the WBC probably a lot more than I do.
Yeah. So Tarik Skubal obviously is going to be one of the U.S. starting pitchers with Paul Skeens. Yeah, have fun hitting those guys back to back. But Tarik Skubal said he's making one start and then he's leaving. As in he's not even staying with Team USA. He's making his one start in pool play. I think they said he's scheduled to start their third game against Mexico, I believe. And then after he makes that start, he's going back to Florida to be with the Tigers, and he doesn't plan to return. Then why the hell are you on the roster? Like, give the roster spot to somebody else if you're not even going to sit there. Like, Paul Skeens said he's only making the one start in pool play, but then he's still sticking with the team the entire time because then if they get into the elimination rounds, which they should, then Skeens said he's going to make a second start. So at least Skeens is staying with the team the whole time. Why the hell would you make one start, throw your 3, maybe 4 innings or whatever, and then go back to Florida? Like, you're taking up that roster spot that somebody else would actually appreciate being on.
I mean, the rest of the starters on Team USA, if I'm not mistaken, Matthew Boyd.
Yep, which he'll probably be pitching in relief because he has done relief in the past.
Clay Holmes, another guy who's done relief in the past.
Yep, he'll probably also be relief.
Okay, this may not be accurate. Why is Kershaw on this roster? Is he not retired?
Nope, Clayton Kershaw did retire. He is one of the starters. He said he will pitch with no insurance, no anything. So I give that guy a ton of credit. So your starters right now for pool play, I believe it's supposed to be Paul Skeens going game 1. I believe it's supposed to be Kershaw going 2, Skubal going 3, and then Nolan McLean going 4. Because Joe Ryan, he's hurt right now.
Yeah, and they also still have Logan Webb, Michael Wacha.
Yep. So I believe Logan Webb is scheduled to pitch the first game of the knockout rounds if they get to the knockout rounds because he's listed as their number 5. But they could swap him and Kershaw as well.
Dude, USA's lineup is ridiculous. I mean, you have PCA, Judge, Harper, Schwarber, Bobby Witt.
Bregman, Gunnar Henderson.
Oh, I didn't see Gunner's name here. I didn't see him between Harper and Bryce Terrain. Holy crap.
Byron Buxton, Will Smith, and the Big Dumper are the catchers.
Surprised Trey Turner didn't come back this year after the WBC he had a while ago.
I was thinking the back end of the bullpen for the United States: Brad Keller, Garrett Whitlock, Mason Miller, and Griffin Jackson. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I knew when Orlando saw some WBC talk, he would throw out his team, Puerto Rico.
I mean, Puerto Rico does have a decent team. I mean, their thing right now is they don't really have any pitching. You have Seth Lugo, who's going to be their number one. You have Yaxel Rios, who's on the Cubs minor league team. He's their number two. Jorge Lopez, they haven't decided if he's going to be a starter or a reliever just because he's been relieving the last couple of years. And then you have Edwin Diaz as your closer, but everybody else on their pitching staff is minor leaguers or people that really haven't done much. Your catchers are Maldonado and Christian Vasquez. Your infield, Nolan Arenado, Edwin Arroyo, Emmanuel Rivera, Luis Vasquez. I mean, that's not really.
Oh, whoa. Nolan Arenado is Puerto Rican?
Yeah, he's got Puerto Rican descent, yeah.
Holy crap, you learn something new every day.
So, I mean, your infield's not loaded, and then you really look at the outfield. You have Willie Castro, Eddie Rosario, MJ Melendez, Helio Ramos, Carlos Cortez. Like, none of those guys really stand out a ton, and that's because a lot of the good Puerto Rican players, whether it was Javi Baez, Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa, and all these guys, didn't want to participate this year because of the insurance stuff. So they lost a large chunk of their roster. I mean, Yadier Molina is the coach, so that's going to be a huge advantage for Puerto Rico because of that.
Love me some Yachty.
Albert Pujols is coaching the DR.
Let's see. Well, let me go over to the DR's roster real quick.
DR, that's the other team that is loaded. Like, U.S. is loaded, like, pitching-wise and hitting-wise, but the Dominican Republic's loaded.
Here we go.
Hitting-wise.
Pitching-wise, they've got Sandy Alcantara, Brian Bayo, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Camilo Doval, Carlos Estevez, Wandy Peralta, Denny Santana, Luis Severino, Gregory Soto. Oh, they got Christopher Sanchez. Oh, it's over.
And Abner Uribe. And then you look at their catchers, Austin Wells. Infielders, Junior Caminero, Vlad, Manny Machado, Ketel Marte, Ahmed Rosario, Jeremy Pena, O'Neal Cruz, Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, and Fernando Tatis. So they got a loaded lineup too.
Perdomo. Oh God. Okay. The DR may be honestly, I don't know. And just for the sake of it, let's go to Japan.
I mean, obviously you have Yamamoto is going to be your one. Then you're going to have Yusei Kikuchi, Hiroto Takahashi, Yuki Matsui, Tamayoko Sugano is all going to be there. Roki Sasaki is expected to be a late addition. He's not on there. He's not on there right now, but he is expected to be added because Japan still has 2 open roster spots. The infield, you have Munetaka Murakami, who signed with the White Sox. You have Kasuma Okamoto, who signed with the Blue Jays. Taisi Makahara, who's going to be one of the top international free agents next year. The outfield, you got Masataka Yoshida. You have Seiya Suzuki, Shohei. I mean, you have a decent lineup, but so many of those players are unknown because they still play in the MPB. This is where a lot of those players that want to get posted can showcase their stuff.
Yeah. So who else should we be looking at here? We've looked at Puerto Rico, we looked at the DR, looked at Japan, look at the US.
I mean, Mexico's got some pieces this year. I mean, they have Javier Assad as one of their pitchers, Andres Munoz as their closer. Your boy Taiwan Walker is going to be a starter. Taj Bradley.
Am I one of the few people that, in Major League Baseball purposes, think Taj Bradley still could be a really good starting pitcher if he just puts it all together?
You could. That's why Mexico's starting him. I mean, the Mexico has Alejandro Kirk as their catcher. They got Randy Arozarena, Alec Thomas, Jaron Duran from the Red Sox, Joey Ortiz, Luis Arias, Rowdy Tellez, Nick Gonzalez. So they have some pieces.
The outfield is where Jaron Duran, Randy Arozarena, Alex. Yeah, that's where the outfield's their strong suit. Yeah. Orlando, I think Puerto Rico will find a way. It's just it would be really beneficial to them if they had some of their bigger players. It also doesn't hurt the fact that Lindor got hurt the minute he showed up to spring training and hurt his hand. But if they had him and Correa in that lineup, that would really help them a lot.
I mean, the thing that Puerto Rico has going for them is pool play, because they're with Colombia, Panama, Cuba, and Canada. So it's not like they're avoiding the U.S., they're avoiding the DR, they're avoiding a lot of these favorites to come out of the World Baseball Classic, so they should still be able to win their pool. But then you're going to be seeded right away with Japan coming out of pool play.
I just decided to look at Team Canada's roster. Orlando, please tell me you're still watching this, because here is a name that I'm about to throw up over. Philippe Beaumont. Oh my God. I just got traumatized back to the 2013 to 2015 Phillies. Now my day is ruined. But Canada has a couple guys. I mean,
yeah, they have
Jameson Taillon,
Michael Soroka.
Soroka.
Kel Quantrill. Logan Allen is a good reliever. Bo Naylor.
Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor.
Tyler O'Neill.
Yep. Owen Casey, one of the top prospects. So they're missing some key pieces this year too. I mean, James Paxton, the ageless wonder they got.
Oh my God. And also, thanks, Orlando. Orlando got the reference to where I was going with this. And Orlando, since you're still here, another name that I want you to hear, Great Britain. Who is one of the pitchers on Great Britain? Vance Worley.
Yep, Vance Worley pitched for Great Britain in the last WBC too, and was actually, since you're very familiar with Vance Worley, obviously, he was throwing about 91, 92 when he was with you?
Pop out maybe 93, depending.
He was averaging 98 in the last WBC.
Oh yeah, when he left the Phillies and became a reliever, he was throwing 95 plus. But
he was starting last year he was starting for Britain in the WBC last time, throwing 98.
Oh no, I know that. I'm just saying when he left the Phillies, because if anybody remembers this, which by the way, also Great Britain has Jazz Chisholm. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they do. They got Gary Gilhill.
But does anybody remember the trade Vance Worley was involved in?
He came from the Twins, right?
He went to the Twins.
Oh, for Kepler?
No, this is 2013.
Oh, Jesus. He was that long ago for you guys?
Vance Worley's first year in the big leagues was the 2011 year when the Phillies had Halladay, Lee, Hamels, and Oswalt, and he went 11-3. Yeah, he was 11-3 on that team.
He is 39 years old, and he has not pitched in the major since 2017. What the hell is he doing now?
Just chilling, staying in WBC shape. He has to pitch every 4 years.
Yeah, because he hasn't pitched in professional baseball since 2021.
And the player that the Phillies got back when they traded Vance Worley was center fielder Ben Revere.
Benny boy.
Oh, Orlando got it before I did. He actually threw the comment in, so I'm going to give Orlando the credit. He threw it in. Yeah, Ben Revere. Dude, I loved Ben Revere, man. Dude was small, had no power, but he hit 290 and made ridiculous catches in the outfield.
The coolest story about the WBC, though, is with Team Czechia. So Team Czechia does not have a single major league / minor league player on their roster. They have two players that have played baseball in college on their roster. The rest of their roster is just a bunch of 30-year-old dudes that they just held a tryout for in Czech Republic and put them on a team for the WBC. They have their manager is what's his name? Their manager is Pavel Chadhim. He is a brain surgeon by day that is taking a month off to coach the WBC team.
Okay.
They just have a bunch of average Joes that they just said, we need 30 average Joes to play baseball in the WBC. Come in, try out, and make the team. And that's literally what Team Czechia did.
It's hilarious. That is
the only player on their roster that has any form of experience in affiliated ball is Terran Vavra. He was with the Baltimore Orioles last year. He had one major league at bat last year. And he's got 140 career at bats in 3 years with the Orioles.
You know, all this talk about the 2013 Phillies, and Orlando's going to laugh at this one too, is I just remember that was the year the Phillies signed Delman Young to a 1-year deal, and that's when he was fat and couldn't play anymore. And I was like, oh, this guy's a former ALCS MVP. He's going to come in, hit 30 homers in this ballpark, and then the Phillies won like 70 games that year. But we're not going to talk about that.
Why not?
Listen, the 2013 to 2017 was rough. Okay, I don't want to traumatize myself more than I already have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other interesting storylines from the WBC. You have Japan's manager from their last World Baseball Classic, Yuichi Matsumoto, is now the manager for Team Brazil. And good old 76-year-old Dusty Baker is managing Team Nicaragua.
I did see that Dusty is still managing that. That's awesome.
Good old Nicaragua.
When does the WBC kick off?
Next week. I think first game is scheduled for March 4th. Okay. Technically, March 3rd is when it kicks off, but the WBC starts March 3rd because March 3rd, every participating country in the WBC has an exhibition game with Major League Baseball. So the Cubs are getting Team Italy. The Phillies are one of the teams that do not have a matchup with one of the international teams, but like Pittsburgh gets Colombia, the Netherlands get Baltimore, Panama gets the Yankees, Blue Jays in Canada, Israel, and Miami, and then March 4th is when the actual WBC starts. Oh, nope, Phillies get Team Canada on March 4th also.
Oh, sweet God.
So March 4th is the opening game with Chinese Taipei and Australia. And then March 5th is pool play continues. And then the U.S.'s first game is Friday, March 6th against Brazil.
We have a time for that game?
For the U.S. game?
Yes.
8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. I believe all of U.S.'s pool play games are 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern.
I'm literally in the middle of Birds of the Gridiron, man. Come on. Got to watch that while I'm on the show.
So you got USA Brazil play at 8 o'clock on Friday. USA and Great Britain play at 8 o'clock on Saturday. They have off Sunday. Monday, USA and Mexico play at 8. And then Tuesday against Italy, they play at 9 o'clock Eastern. And then,
oh my God, this play.
And then everything resets after Wednesday 11th. And then Thursday, March 12th is when the knockout rounds and all that stuff start.
All right. You have, I mean, I know we're our bias to lie, but do we have a favorite for this?
I think it's going to be a Japan-USA rematch.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who my favorite. I think the U.S. is a great chance. Japan's always there. I think Dominican Republic has a big shot this year, man. That lineup is loaded.
I think U.S. has the best team top to bottom when you look at pitching and offense.
I don't disagree.
I think Dominican Republic may have the better offense, but they don't have a ton of pitching. And then you never know with Japan because so many of those players aren't major league players. They just
Yeah, they're
play. They
unknowns.
play in the MPB, and then they basically use the World Baseball Classic as their basically a tryout where they showcase what they can do, and then 2 years later they post themselves on the free agent market and sign. That's how Roki Sasaki was discovered. That's how Shohei Otani was initially discovered when he was 17. Like, there's so many of these players that they use this to basically get their name out there, and then a couple years later they get posted.
Yeah. I'm excited for the WBC. It's gonna be a fun time.
I just hate that this event is every 3 or 4 years. I think this should be in every other, not an every year event, but I think this should be an every other year event.
I don't disagree. I wouldn't hate the idea of doing this every other year. All right. Continuing our loaded episode here, even though, man, we've only been on for 45 minutes and we've covered so much. Shall we get into, well, while we're on the topic of the WBC, we might as well keep it there because another topic we want to talk about are Major League Baseball players playing in the Olympics. Now, as we know, baseball doesn't, they don't allow their players to do it, right?
They do not.
I mean, we just saw with the Winter Olympics in hockey with Team Canada, Team USA. I mean, those are the best players in the NHL. NBA, same thing. And now the NBA used to be like that. Remember, before the 92 Olympics, there was a bunch of amateur players and they were going up against the European teams that are having all their professionals. And that's what we were getting the crap kicked out of us every year. But then, of course, they allowed the NBA to get involved. The Dream Team was formed, and the U.S. has basically been gold medaling it ever since. So, what are our thoughts on should baseball let their players play in the Olympics?
I think they should. I know there's a lot of players right now like Gunnar Henderson, Alex Bregman, and Bobby Witt that said they want to play in the Olympics. Like, they're making it publicly known that they want to play in the Olympics. Given the success that we saw the United States hockey team had, where you allowed the NHL players to participate for the first time in 12 years, and the end result was you got a gold medal out of it. I will not be surprised if part of the next CBA agreement is to allow Major League Baseball players to participate. And the only reason I say that is if you lose another season of Major League Baseball, you're going to have to work your ass off to try to win the fans back. You had your strike in the 90s. What won the fans back then? The steroid era is what brought the fans back during that time. You had to do something that won the fans back. You did it. You got it back. Baseball was starting to die kind of in the 2018 to 2021 range. How did you win the fans back? You changed some of these rules to speed up the game and all this and that, and now you have the highest viewership you've had since 2009. If you lose another season of baseball, you're going to kill all the momentum that you've gained over the last couple of years. And the only way to start winning some of that viewership back is to give them something to cheer about. So allowing Major League Baseball players to play in the Olympics, I think, is a step to get some of those viewers back, because now it's going to give them a chance to watch baseball in the Olympics when they probably wouldn't care otherwise. The only reason why it's going to be difficult is just when the Summer Olympics are. NHL can afford to take 3 weeks off because you're playing an 82 game season. You can.
And this is where my argument would come in. I'm not opposed to it either. I think it'd be awesome for the sport to let them in the Olympics. But again, the Olympics for the NBA doesn't bother them. Their season's already over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the NHL only plays 82 games. They can take 3 weeks off. But now with baseball in a 162 game season in the middle of the summer, when the only time you really get off is a week for the All-Star break, can you manage this?
Well, I'm looking up the dates right now. The baseball portion of the Olympics is set to begin on July 13th, and it's set to end on July 19th. So it's only 6 days. Right now, your All-Star break is technically 4 days, where you have off Monday, for the home run derby, Tuesday for the All-Star game, then you give every team off Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, and then they come back for that Friday.
So if the baseball portion of the Olympics is really only the 13th through the 19th, those 6 days, you could easily make this work and just start the All-Star break the day that the Olympic competition starts. So July 12th, which would be a Sunday, you have all 30 baseball teams start their games at the same time. Have them all start their games at noon on Sunday, play until they're done, and then whoever's participating in the Olympics will leave from the stadium they're at, go to Los Angeles, and then everybody else can like either go home for a week, stay with their team for a week, or whatever. But then you have the next week off. You let those players participate in the Olympics. They are done on Saturday. They fly out on Sunday morning, whether to their next city to play games. And realistically, you won't have to adjust the schedule at all. The only adjustment you might have to make is instead of getting 13 off days during the year, you might only get 11. That literally would be the only change you have to make because you're taking away 3 games right after that All-Star break. And essentially those 3 games would be added kind of in like those off day slots where you might have a 4-game series instead of a 3-game series, or you just have, instead of Monday off, you have 14 days in a row and then you have a day off. But for only a 6-day event instead of like hockey where it was an extended kind of 2.5-week event because you had the women's hockey and the men's hockey kind of corresponding. If it's only 6 days, baseball can make it work. You just extend the All-Star break by 3 days.
Now the other question would be, how would that work on the years where, I mean, would the WBC interfere with that?
And that's the other thing. That's kind of why I brought in the WBC as being an every other year thing. Because right now, the WBC is, hold on. The WBC is 13 days. It starts March 5th and ends March 17th. So what you could theoretically do is you let the players play in the Olympics, you give them that week off. And then the next year you have your standard All-Star break the way it normally is. But then the next time that the WBC comes around, you could do 1 week of the prelims during spring training, kind of the way they have it now. And then the 8 teams that advance through the prelims would play again during the All-Star break. And that's when the actual like tournament would start. And then you give them that full week off like you would for the Olympics. The 8 finalists will play during that week, and you could even put it where the All-Star game would be. You could pick whatever stadium you want to put it in the middle of summer, as opposed to the way it has to happen now, where it's always in Florida, Texas, LA, Japan, and whatnot. You play the prelims the way you normally do now. You pick your 4 cities that you put your prelims in. And then when you get down to that final 8, you can pick of whatever venue you want. And then those final 8 will spend that week in that venue playing the tournament.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea.
Because then you get to do the event every other year. You can still keep the same All-Star game format in the off years just because a baseball All-Star game is actually done properly. But then when you have the WBC, you just do the prelims in the spring, get those out of the way, and then when you get down to those final 8 for the elimination games, then it's like, well, this is our All-Star week this week, the elimination games. Do 2 games a day, and then you have your third place game and your championship game, and then you still have the extra 2 days off for travel then.
Yeah. Isn't the WBC already the baseball version of the Olympics?
It is, but at the same time, it's not, just because, like Great Britain, Czechia, a lot of these teams, you don't have a ton of major league talent on these rosters. You have minor league talent, but not major league talent, versus if you allow these major leaguers now to go play in the Olympics, you're giving more countries an opportunity to be in the Olympics. Teams that typically weren't, like a prime example, Curacao. Curacao would never be in the Summer Olympics because they don't have a soccer team. They don't have enough athletes to do all these like things in the Summer Olympics. You let the Curacao national baseball team into the Olympics, well, now you just created 25 spots for someone to experience the Olympics, and Curaçao's baseball team can do damage.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I have no issue with it. I think it'd be awesome for the sport to let its big-time players showcase their stuff on the big stage of the Olympics. It worked for the NBA. NBA went how long before they allowed it?
A long time.
But then the United States are like, yo, we're tired of getting our asses kicked by countries that are freaking. I mean, we're sending college 18-year-olds over there. They're getting spanked by 25-year-old European superstars. We need to do something about this. Then we saw what happened.
Like, I'm going to opt when it comes back in the summer, but
Yeah, of course.
USA's team is a bunch of high schoolers and they'll be going up against Japan. Like, why would I want to watch them just get curb stomped? Because
Yeah, exactly.
you want like I would be okay with even having minor leaguers play. But you're having a bunch of high school kids and U19 kids form your Olympic roster and you're putting them up against actual professional players in Japan that are going to just destroy you.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, I think it's good for the sport. It's a way to grow the sport, and that's the one thing baseball should be doing. They are trying to grow the sport. You're trying to save your sport because you're probably going to have to save it again. So that could be a good start. And this time you wouldn't have to keep guys out of the Baseball Hall of Fame because you want to collect all the revenue from the steroid era, but then penalize the guys that were involved in it.
Right. But that's what I said. Like, I mean, it would not be difficult at all just to give teams that whole week off instead of just the 4 days off. And like I said, you let them play in the Olympics every 4 years, and then the corresponding years you let them do the WBC in kind of the same format.
Exactly. That's why the other reason the NHL has no issue with it because it's only every 4 years. It's not like every year we got to figure this out.
And then what happens when they don't have the Olympics? What is the NHL doing now?
They're doing the Four Nations tournament.
Exactly. What is the NBA doing now with the All-Star game? Countries.
What is their new
countries?
Yeah,
versus
I don't. I'm not familiar up to snuff with the format yet. So
yeah, so it's countries versus the U.S. now in the NBA. Like they're going away from the standard All-Star games that they used to do, and they're bringing in more of that international flair. As much as I like the baseball All-Star game, if that only happened every other year and then the corresponding years is the Olympic and the WBC, I'm pretty sure no fans are going to have an issue with it.
No, and it's growing. It's bringing more of the global audience back to baseball instead of just like the All-Star game. Like the one cool thing about I actually came up with this idea for a. So you know how in the MLB All-Star game now and we have the 3-pitch swing off.
Mm-hmm.
Like how last year, how Schwarber won it for the NL. I made the case that the NFL could do something like this in the regular season. If we get through overtime and we're still tied, we're not tying this game. We're going to have a kickoff, 3 field goals per kicker at like the 50-yard line. Whoever makes the most wins.
Well, you should see the new rules the UFL put in yesterday.
George and I went over them on DA After Dark last night. Trust me, I don't need to be told about those rules again.
Which means the NFL will soon be adopting a 5-point field goal if it works in the UFL.
I'm jumping through a wall.
Why? Do you know how much better the Cowboys would be? Because they'll be lining Brandon Aubrey up for 5-point field goals every freaking kick.
Cam Little's not going to have a leg after the season if that happens.
The other rule is if you're on the opponent's side of the 50, you can't punt. You either have to kick a field goal or go for it. Guess what? The Cowboys ain't going to have a problem trotting Brandon Aubrey out there for 65 yards.
I don't mind that because I hate it so much this year when the Eagles were at like the opponent 48 and Sirianni was taking a penalty and punting. It drove me nuts. So actually, that rule I wouldn't be opposed to. Moving on into this show, and we are honestly flying through these topics, but women's professional baseball.
Yeah, buddy.
Enlighten me.
Well, are you familiar with the Athletes Unlimited softball?
Not very much, I'm not going to lie.
So Athletes Unlimited softball became a thing last year. They basically created a professional softball league last year where teams play a 25-game season. Last year there was 4 teams. This year there is 6 teams, but the biggest difference with this year compared to last year is last year all the teams played in the same city every weekend. So like they would have I think 10 or 12 cities that they went to throughout the year, and then all 4 teams last year would just play 3 games over the weekend in set city. Then the next week and they would go to a different city, do the same thing. This year, all these teams now officially have homes for the first time. So you have the Chicago Bandits. You have the Chicago Bandits. You have, I'm trying to find the darn team list here. There we go. So you have the Chicago Bandits. You have the Utah Talons. You have the Volts, the Cascade, the Blaze, and the Spark. The Cascade and the Spark are the two new teams that they added to the fold this year. So now they're actually expanding out into the actual city market as opposed to the just individual cities. So not only do we have that going on, but we have a women's professional baseball league set to begin this year. It's called the WPBL. So that's obviously Women's Professional Baseball League. And New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco have the four teams. They're expected
Okay.
to expand to 6 teams by next year, with the goal of getting to 10 teams by 2030.
Okay.
So not only are we going to have Major League Baseball, we are going to have professional softball and professional women's baseball taking place during the summer. Do you remember? It's got to be at least a decade ago. The one girl that was in the Little League World Series that was pitching.
Yes.
She is part of the Women's Professional Baseball League.
Hopefully she is. She was lights out.
I believe she's either on Boston or New York. I'm trying to see. I pulled up New York's roster right now. But yeah, she is part of this Women's Professional Baseball League. So she was kind of a big advocate for that. So now that she's kind of got this underway, I'm very curious to see how this works, honestly. Just because I was watching the softball league last year, and the softball league was Monet Davis. She is on Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. She was a freaking star in that Little League World
Series.
Series.
Born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She is a center fielder for Los Angeles.
So wait, throw me the cities again. It was what was it?
Los Angeles, New York, San Francisco, and Boston.
Okay.
What was it?
What are the other cities potentially looking to get involved into this?
Chicago and Houston are looking to be added to it by the end of next year.
Those are two really good cities.
Yep. And then by 2030, when they want to go to 10 teams, they have Orlando as one of the teams or one of the cities.
Okay.
They have San Diego as one of the cities.
Okay.
They have Louisville as one of the cities because Louisville does not have technically a professional team. And then they have Philadelphia.
I was going to say, I hope I was going to hear Philly because I think Philly would be a nice market for that because we're finally getting a WNBA team.
Yeah. And then the same thing with the Athletes Unlimited softball. They plan to expand their market up to 10 as well.
Nice. Yeah, I like the idea. I think that's going to be really cool.
And then that brings up the question then, do we add women's professional baseball to the Olympics?
Absolutely. Why not?
I just don't know how many countries have it.
That's also true. Yeah, that would have to grow a lot for it to get into the Olympics.
Yeah.
And look, for any people that...
I'm very excited for it.
Any people have opinions on it. If you enjoyed the movie A League of Their Own, guess what? You'll enjoy it.
So athletes, so I'm gonna just I want you to actually follow it this year, because I'm pretty sure as we get through the summer months, we'll talk a little bit more about it, like once their season starts. But the Unlimited Softball League, they start June 9th is the first games of the Unlimited or the Softball League starts June 9th. And that'll run all of June through July. And the Women's Professional Baseball League starts on August 1st. And that is set to run through middle September. The season consists of 30 games. So basically, you will play the opposing 3 teams 10 times each.
George is saying, so during a lockout, we get women's baseball again.
I mean, that's ultimately
Yeah.
going to be huge for women's baseball and women's softball because guess who has the rights to broadcast Athletes Unlimited softball? MLB Network
ESPN.
and MLB Network and MLB.TV. So if there's
Oh,
no baseball next year, Athletes Unlimited softball is going to make a killing just being the primary focus on MLB Network and MLB.TV. And then I believe let me see, for the women's professional. Women's Professional Baseball League will be broadcasted this season through their YouTube channel with the plan to move to ESPN Plus in 2027. So both leagues are going to have their own basically way to view these games, but the Athletes Unlimited softball is the one that's going to make a killing if they're on MLB Network with no baseball going on.
Yeah, and don't forget what ESPN's doing after Sunday Night Baseball is completely gone.
Women's only Sunday.
Yep, that could be something that could play a role into this.
Yep.
It's going to be very
softball and baseball could get added into that.
What's up, Clint? Heck yeah, Clint. Shout out to the women. They deserve. Look,
and, you know, in the way, theoretically speaking, I know that professional sports aren't smart sometimes. But if you really wanted to do what they're saying, how they want to take Sunday on ESPN and make it a women's only day, right?
Yeah.
You know how easy you could do a quadruple header?
Oh my God.
You could have softball start at 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. Softball plays at 10 or 11. Then you go to the NWSL, which is women's soccer. Have that game start at like 2:30. That game will go until 4:35. Then you got the WNBA that you could go at 6. And then you got professional baseball you could throw on at 9. You could run through all 4 sports in one day.
Exactly. And I think that's a great idea. ESPN, and look, not only do professional sports are not smart all the time, networks are not smart either.
No.
And I like the idea of ESPN doing that. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah. Then you don't have to go. Then you don't got to find the Oprah Winfrey Network for it.
Oh, good Lord.
Or Ion.
All right. We want to wrap this show up with some AL, NL West previews.
Yeah, we do.
Where we want to kick off first?
We're just going to rip the Band-Aid off and go to the NL West.
All right, so we're picking the Dodgers to finish in last.
No, we're picking the Rockies to finish in last because they are god-awful and atrocious.
Can we just skip talking about
the Rockies? We can. That's all. That's the only conversation we need to have. The Rockies are god-awful and atrocious. That's where they're going to finish.
If they win 40 games, they're lucky.
They'll probably win 50 games, but I'm not going to be surprised if they are right up there with the White Sox for that worst record of all time this year. Like, they are going to be bad. Bad.
Are we talking like the 10-72 Sixers bad?
I'm talking about the stretch that they had last year. Do you remember the stretch that they had last year?
I don't want to remember the stretch that they had last year.
They were like 6-46 at one point last year.
They are the Sixers of baseball. Let's just move on.
They have a shot to be just as bad.
All right, so my 4th place team, I have the Diamondbacks. I know on paper there's some things to like about them. I think the rotation is okay. I think Brandon Pfaadt is not hit the potential yet. I think he's going to get to that this year. Zach Gallen coming back is huge. Are we expecting Corbin Burnes to come back at some point this year?
July, August at the earliest. And
okay.
That's kind of why I'll let you finish. I got to figure that out because I have them finishing 3rd, but it's more so I'm picking them to finish 3rd because I expect Burnes back. If Burnes doesn't come back, then I have him finishing 4th. But that's the only reason I have him 3rd is because Burnes is expected back.
Well, even with Burnes out, I mean, the question is Zach Gallen. Was last year just a fluke? can he get back to the pitcher he was at 23 and 24, or was kind of this is what we expect we're going to get again? They brought Miro Kelly back, and I think Kelly's one of the more underrated starting pitchers in baseball. Brandon Pfaadt is still shaping it out, and I think he's going to be fine. Ryan Nelson is solid.
Eduardo Rodriguez, they have, who had a bad year last year.
Yes, can he get back to what he was in
The
Detroit?
the Michael Soroka pick is the wild card because he's been very injured the last 4 years. But when Michael Soroka has been healthy, he's a legit top of the line starting pitcher. He doesn't have to pitch like an ace anymore because he's kind of getting to that point of his career where he's been so injured, like you can't expect him to be an ace. But if you can get the Michael Soroka that you see in the last couple of years when he's healthy, he can hold the fort down until Corbin Burnes comes back.
Yeah. And I mean, in terms of the lineup, Geraldo Perdomo may be one of my favorite players to watch.
Yep. And then
the guy's becoming one of the top shortstops in the game very quickly.
And they brought in Nolan Arenado, which I think
that is the wild card for me, because even at his age, he's still an elite defensive third baseman. Maybe not where he was back when he was 26, but with age, some things decline minorly. He's still a really good defensive third baseman. The bat is scaring me. It hasn't looked great the last couple of years in St. Louis. It started going down after Colorado, but again, when you leave Colorado, a lot of things don't happen for you. But the back is a little concerning to me. Is he starting to just hit that point where how old he is, the bat's never going to get back to that. Even if they got half of what he did,
they only need to get 20. If he can give 20 home runs and 75 RBIs, that's literally all you should be able to expect out of Arenado right now.
Yeah, because I mean, you still have Perdomo, like we said, who's coming off a 100 RBI year. Perdomo, another reason why Perdomo is one of my favorite players. I love guys that can still find a way to walk more than they strike out. That's what I love.
And steal bases.
Yeah, and play an elite level shortstop.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many runs he saved in that NLCS in 2023. He was annoying. But no, Ketel Marte, probably one of the best, easily one of the top 3 second basemen in the league. Corbin Carroll, when he comes back from that handmade bone, and he should be ready right around opening day, right?
I think they said end of April. They're giving
so he'll be back shortly.
He's out 8 weeks, so he's going to be out all the spring, and then they're going to give him like 2 weeks in the minors just to basically ramp himself up.
And an underrated piece to this Diamondbacks team is Gabriel Moreno, their catcher. If he's healthy, their pitching staff is better, and he can swing the bat a little bit. He doesn't drive in a lot of runs, but he hits 280.
Lourdes Gurriel?
Well, yes, and now Lourdes is coming off the ACL tear too, but I haven't heard any potential of him missing time.
He's playing right now.
So he's already kind of back to 100% from that, which is awesome to see. So they could be a sleeper team, but right now I'm still going to keep them 4th, but it's not by a wide margin.
I mean, the 2 wild cards for me for the Diamondbacks this year is Carlos Santana.
Yes.
He's going to get time at first base. He's going to get time at DH. Like, he's at the end of his career, but he's still one of those veterans that if he gets extended playing time, you know what you're going to get out of him, which is not bad production at this point. And then obviously the Jordan Lawler situation. Or not Jordan Lawler, sorry. The heck's his name? It's Tyler Locklear. Tyler Locklear was the player that the Diamondbacks wanted in the Eugenio Suarez deal last year. Tyler Locklear has been one of the better run producers and one of the better power hitters in the minor leagues for the last several years. He just hasn't had any opportunity in the major so far. He's played 47 major league games. But you're looking at last year, he hit a .316 in the minors last year with 19 homers, 82 RBIs, only 95 strikeouts. No one's expecting him to come in and be like Eugenio Suarez, but if he can come in and do anything close to what he did in the minors last year, that is a massive addition to the Diamondbacks lineup that you can put at first base as your everyday first baseman. Now you have Carlos Santana and Gurriel that you can throw in at DH. You have Ketel, Marte, Pavin Smith. Like, their lineup once Corbin Carroll comes back, is going to look a lot different than what it has.
And yes, Clint, the ageless Carlos Santana is still around. He'll be one of those guys playing in the WBC when he's 48.
Mm-hmm. And that's the main reason why I put Arizona 3 is just because Corbin Carroll is coming back. You're getting Burns most likely back. And then you do have like the additions of Santana. Locklear is going to get his opportunity this year. They have pieces. The reason why I have the Giants 4th is just because of their manager this year. You're getting a guy that's been a college baseball manager. Granted, a very good college baseball manager at the University of Tennessee. But managing in Major League Baseball is drastically different than managing in college. And this was a very unique and surprising move by the Giants to go this direction. And I could see it turning out like the Gabe Kapler situation, where Gabe Kapler was only the manager in the Giants for 2 years and they got rid of him just because they didn't live up to expectations. Like, this is a tough spot.
Hold on. The first year in San Francisco, he won like 112 games.
He did, but then what happened in the playoffs, though?
Oh, that's not surprising.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though. And then the next year they went 84-78, and they fired him because they missed the playoffs the second year. Like, he's got Robbie Ray, he's got Logan Webb, he's got a very good 1-2 in his rotation. He's got Tyler Mahle, who they signed as a free agent, which Tyler Mahle had a great year last year, but he's coming off of an injury. Adrian Hauser is going to be 35 this year, but he had a great year last year. So their starting rotation is good, but they also have a lot of players that are kind of either injury prone or they're coming to the end of their careers where can you trust them to make 25, 30 starts anymore? And then you look at the lineup. Willy Adames, solid, but probably not what the Giants expected him last year. Matt Chapman is not the same Matt Chapman that he was with the Blue Jays. Getting Luis Arraez and Harrison Bader are huge additions to that team.
Remind me.
But this is San Francisco we're talking about. But neither one of those guys is a power hitter. And you're putting him in a very difficult ballpark to hit. Like, Luis Arraez might make a killing at San Francisco because of the stinking right center field alley at 421. That guy might hit 40 triples this year because he could just sting a line drive hits into that corner all day and just run for his life.
On top of hitting 360?
Yeah, like, if it wasn't for the manager, I would have the Giants at 3. I just think being a rookie manager going from the college game to Major League Baseball, which is a completely different style of baseball that you have to manage, he's going to struggle a little bit versus the Diamondbacks manager is, I don't care what anybody says, he's a very underrated manager that doesn't get enough respect.
I love Torey Lovullo. I think he is one of the most underrated managers in baseball. Yeah. And I understand what you're saying with Vitello being a rookie manager, and I agree with it. But I think sometimes these rookie managers or coaches, whatever sports, sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do. I, for one, like what the Giants have done. I think their outfield defensively is solid with Lee and Bader and Ramos. I love the infield. Chapman, even though the bat's a little worse than Toronto, the glove is still awesome.
Yeah.
I think Adames, I feel like every time a free agent, same thing with Devers last year, it takes a year to adjust to that ballpark in San Francisco.
I mean, he still produced, but the thing with Adames was he hit like a 203 last year.
Well, then that's so, like, I'm hoping that maybe it was just the year getting used to the ballpark. Some things, look, hitting in Milwaukee is a lot easier than hitting in San Francisco.
Well, look when he was in Tampa, though. Adames only hit 240 in Tampa. He was never really a high average hitter.
He never hits for a high average.
That's why the Giants spending the kind of money they spent on him, I think they're expecting him to be a high average hitter, which is not going to be what he is.
In their defense, the Giants have tried to spend high money on a lot of players. They just don't want to come there. So Adames was definitely, I'm not saying he wasn't their he wasn't their only option, but he wasn't their first option. They've been trying to find players to pay for years. They tried Aaron Judge. They tried Ohtani. They can't get anyone. Then they make the trade for Devers, who didn't hit great last year. Now, he is one that I think will have a better year because if there is a spot in that ballpark that messes with you, it's being a left-handed power hitter with that big gap. Yeah. So I think their infield has the potential to be really good. Like you said, you have Luis Ariz, who, yes, defensively, not much, but he's a two-time batting champion, and he's still hitting 290. You're banking on Adames to have a bounce-back year. You're hoping Chapman can still give you something, and you're hoping Devers can adjust to the ballpark better now that he's been there for an off season, a full season. I still like the Giants, though. I like Robbie Ray and Logan Webb at the top of that rotation. I don't think – here's my thing. Another situation. The Giants could be my third-place team with 84 wins. And the Diamondbacks could be my fourth-place team with 82 wins. It's not a large sample drop-off in these two teams, in my opinion.
Yes.
You could give or take either way how you're going to finish it. I just right now like the Giants a little better.
No, I can see that. I think it's just the players that the Diamondbacks are missing that they're getting back that I think puts them above.
And rightfully could.
I think Corbin Carroll is a better player than anybody the Giants have.
I don't disagree with that at all.
And I think Corbin Burns is better than any starting pitcher the Giants have. Logan Webb might be more durable, but Corbin Burns, from a stuff side of things, is a better pitcher than anybody the Giants have.
You don't think Logan Webb's up there with guys like that?
He doesn't have the stuff. Like, he goes out there and he gives you innings and he gives you durability. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. He strikes people out, but he's not like a double-digit strikeout guy. Like, he just goes up there and just does what he does. Corbin Burns, when he is locked in, has no hit stuff every single time he steps on that mound.
No argument here.
That's why those two players alone, even if they only get him for a portion of the season, those two guys alone are still better than anybody the Giants have in those same spots.
I agree. And then I guess, once again, we're back in the same boat as top two, Padres, Dodgers.
Yep, and Padres will be 2 just because, the Dodgers decide that they want to print fake money. Like in Beverly Hills Cop 3 when they were making Wally World dollars. So Dodgers want to print their own money and be like, oh, by the way, yeah, we're going to print their own money and spend our own money. So it is what it is. And the Padres have a good team. They would win any other division in baseball. It's just the fact that they're stuck in that division.
Their pitching is ridiculous.
Their bullpen is ridiculous.
And their rotation, I'll tell you right now, keep your freaking eyes on Tristan McKenzie, who used to be with the Guardians. And who else did they just signed somebody else too, damn it. Who was it?
I'm looking at Griffin Canning.
Yeah, these guys sign starters who you're like, oh, and Herman Marquez. That's who I was looking for, Marquez.
Yuki
Look what they did with Look at Nick Pivetta last year. I would not be surprised with McKenzie, who, by the way, in his first spring start was hitting 98.6 on the radar. I wouldn't be surprised if McKenzie's healthy, they turn him back into what we saw in Cleveland, which that may hurt George and Clint a little bit because they're Guardians guys, but this is what they do. They bring pitchers in, and they just make them better. The Padres, now their lineup, it's still decent. You still have Manny, you still have Bogarts, you still have Tatis, but you brought in Castellanos. Good luck with that. Still have Roman Laureano.
Did you see Castellanos the other day?
Oh, what?
Yeah, we're going to just say that Castellanos is going to have a breakout year this year because
I was told that every year he was in Philly.
He is 6 for his last 6 in spring, and his slowest exit velocity has been 104.1. He is teeing off on the freaking baseball right now.
And don't get me wrong, if the Diamondbacks, if the Padres can get something along the lines of 2023 Nick Castellanos, who hit 270 with 29 bombs and 106 runs batted in, that could be a huge, look at last year with Gavin Sheets, what they did with him. He had a really good year last year for them. If they can form that out of Castellanos, I feel a lot better about the team. But the lineup still has some question marks. You know what you're going to get out of Tatis and Manny and even Bogarts, but there are some things that that still are a little iffy with me. Now, again, they have the best pitching in they have some of the best pitching in the sport. Like you said, the bullpen's filthy. Absolutely filthy.
They They don't have Suarez this year, which is going to be a loss. But they still have freaking Mason Miller.
Yeah.
And Mason Miller, high pitch ever again. Burton dots the corner at the bottom of the zone.
Yeah. I mean, and they're still waiting. I mean, Jason Adam hasn't pitched yet, but because of that quadricep injury that he had. But there's reports here that he may avoid the IL to start the year, so they may have him back for the start of the year. And I mean, since he's been in San Diego, oh my God,
Joe
the
Musgrave,
guy's one of the best relievers in the sport.
Joe Musgrave comes back this year.
That's a big boost for the
And
rotation as well.
He's going to be their number 4. He'd be a number 2 or number 3 on most teams. He'll be their number 4.
And if Michael King is healthy off that shoulder injury like he was in 2024, forget it. Do we remember the Braves playoff game?
Yep.
That's the night Michael King became a superstar. And if that's the guy you get and he gives you 30 starts, holy crap.
Yeah, like they had, and then Kyle Hart is another one that not a lot of people talk about. But Kyle Hart I think he was a free agent last year. I'm just double checking. I believe he was a free agent last year, but he pitched in the KBO for a long time. He was 3-3, 5.86 ERA with the Padres last year, so he wasn't good last year. But he had a 3-year run in the KBO where he was like 39-11 with a 2.26 ERA. I think it was just the adjustment going from the KBO back to Major League Baseball that threw him off last year. But he's supposed to be their number 5 starter right now until Joe Musgrave comes back. And if you can get anything close to what he was doing in the KBO, he might win like a comeback player of the year this year.
Yeah. And Clint, I understand what you're saying about McKenzie, but guess what? There's a guy on the Padres by the name of Nick Pivetta. As a Phillies fan, watched his whole career. He had the same problems. He would walk guys, and then he would throw meatballs down the middle to good hitters, and it'd be 4-0 within the first inning. But look what the Padres have this weird thing where they take these pitchers and they fix them. And I think McKenzie is a guy the Padres can fix into being a really good, if he's their number 5, then they could be in really good shape.
Yeah, they have a good team. Like I said, they would win any other division in baseball besides the NL West.
Which we have the Dodgers winning, and I don't think we have to talk to. It's like the Rockies; you don't have to say much.
No, you don't, because they're deep at every position because they spend more money than anybody. You, as a manager, like obviously you're not a baseball manager, but as a manager, you're going up against the Dodgers, and you're like, well, I get to see Blake Snell in one game. The next game I get Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The next game I get Tyler Glasnow. The next game I get Shohei Ohtani. The next game I could get Roki Sasaki. Like, how are you supposed to, plan to defeat that team when those are the pitchers they're going to face? Oh, and then by the way, the top 6 batters in your batting order are Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, Will Smith, and Teoscar Hernandez. How in the living hell is a pitcher supposed to navigate through that without giving up a single run?
And then in the 9th inning, I get to deal with Edwin Diaz.
And the 8th inning, you'll have Tanner Scott, who's going from the 9th to the 8th inning this year.
Which is a better fit for him.
Yeah. But like as a pitcher, how are you supposed to navigate through that top 6 of that lineup without allowing a run?
There's probably about maybe 3 pitchers in baseball that could.
Skeens and Skubal, I think, are the only 2 that can maybe get through that top 6 without giving up a run.
Hey. When healthy, Zach Wheeler can do it too.
Shohei Ohtani is 12 for 17 with 6 home runs against Zach Wheeler.
I don't care what his numbers say.
First pitch fastball in the game, Shohei could take him deep, and there's that. I gave up a run to the top 6 hitters.
I'm not there.
I would. If health was on the Dodgers side this year, which they did not have health last year until the very end of the year, I really think the Dodgers could win 120 plus games with this lineup and this roster.
I wouldn't put it past them. They're going to win 120, and the Rockies are going to lose 120.
Yeah, but so many of their starting pitchers have had injury issues, which is why they struggle to win 100 games. And I say struggle to win 100 games because they still win like 97, 98. But this is a year where I think the Dodgers are going to win 110 games just because their lineup is as bad of a year as Tucker had last year. You put him in this lineup, he's going to take so many steps forward as a player that even if their starting pitching isn't where they want it to be, or even if they lose starters due to injuries, their lineup can carry the team this year.
Absolutely. It could do that anyway, but now it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm not. There's really nothing else to say about the Dodgers. They're just the Dodgers. They're so freaking good.
But they suck.
Maybe one day they will suck, and then we can all.
They will when they have to file bankruptcy in 3 years.
Yeah, that is also true. All right, shall we move over to the AL West?
Yeah, we should.
All right, who we got finishing last?
I really think this could be the most interesting division in baseball, just because neither one of these. I mean, there are like obviously there's a bad team, there's a good team, but there's a lot of in between in this division. But I think the Angels are going to finish last. And
unfortunately,
a big reason for that is the comments that their owner made the other day, where if I was a fan, I would be canceling my season tickets today and never coming back until he is no longer with the franchise.
The Angels have been a disaster
Did you hear the owner's comments the other day?
Do I want to hear them?
I'm not, because I don't want to paraphrase it. Hold on.
Well, while you're looking that up, I will say there are a couple things. They do have a couple young players that you should be excited for. Number one is their shortstop, Zach Neto. I just did a little player preview for him last night. Got that nice combination of power. I mean, he's hit 23 or more homers over the past 2 years. He's stolen 25 or more bases in the past 2 years. He's a great fielding shortstop. He's at a 976 fielding percentage at that position. So I think he's someone to look forward to. Joe Adell, who's coming off a really good year power-wise, is another one. Logan O'Hoppe was the catcher they got in the Brandon Marsh deal with the Phillies. I think he's someone, if he can get back to like 2 years ago, I think he's had a really down year with a batting average. If he can get back to it, he also has to improve defensively. But those are 3 young hitters that you should be excited for. And of course, if Mike Trout could stay healthy, he's still fun to watch, but he's 34 years old now. We're kind of getting to that point where I don't know if he'll ever stay healthy.
I mean, they have Anthony Rendon on their roster too. That guy can't.
Please, for the love of God, stop bringing him up.
He's still on the roster. I got to bring him up. He's still there.
No, you don't.
He's got 2 years left on his deal. What a great contract that was.
God.
So these are his comments that he made the other day. And you've had a guy in Mike Trout there for 12 years, now 13 years. You had Shohei on your team for 6 years. And you couldn't make the playoffs because this is how you think as a manager. They were asking him kind of the direction of the team or whatever, and he's basically said, winning is not the top priority for the fans in Los Angeles. They want a nice in-game experience. They want affordability to afford to go to games, and they want to feel safe when they come to the ballpark. I feel our organization offers these 3 things better than most teams around the league. Winning is second for us right now, and the fans understand that.
What?
Like, how is Mike Trout not demanding a trade today? Like, bye. Like, send me on my way now.
Oh,
that is why the team is going to finish in last place, because you have an owner who doesn't prioritize winning. And publicly admits he doesn't prioritize winning because he thinks the fans don't want to win.
Good Lord. Yep, Angels are finishing last.
And it's a shame because Mike Trout is a once-in-a-generation player who's had his career derailed because of injuries. But to his credit, I give that man a ton of credit for sticking with this team and not ever demanding a trade. Because the way that they've handled this organization since Shohei left and just not giving him enough talent to help, I would not have been surprised if he demanded a trade 4 years ago. But yet he continues to play out his contract and he continues to stick with this team. But these comments, if I was him, would be the final straw and be like, you know what? I've been loyal to you for 12 freaking years. Like, enough is enough.
Like, let me go try to win something before my
Like,
career's over.
let me go to Philly and retire in my hometown. Just send me somewhere.
I would lose my mind if that happened.
So in Philadelphia.
So Angels in last. Here's where it gets interesting because I think we're both going to be in agreement on who wins the division. But again, the middle three are going to be interesting. And I'm going to go with my fourth place team. Now, again, this could all be separated by 5 games. I have the Astros finishing fourth.
Okay.
I know Jordan's going to be back healthy, but Altuve's a year older, and I don't personally think that this is the strong Astros team that we are used to seeing. They no longer have Framber Valdez at the top of the rotation. I think they're still a good, solid team. I just don't think they're like an elite team. I mean, Hunter Brown is still in that rotation. They signed, who was the Japanese pitcher they signed this offseason?
Tatsuya Imai.
So that's going to help them a lot, but I don't see the Astros as that team anymore where it's like, okay, they see like their 2 corner infielders are either going to hit 20 homers or they're going to strike out 200 times. And that's Isaac Paredes and Christian Walker. So I have the Astros finishing fourth.
I have the Astros in third.
Okay.
I have the A's in fourth for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they took third. My big concern with the A's is that freaking ballpark in Sacramento because they cannot pitch to save their life in that ballpark, and they don't have the horses offensively. They have a couple big guys like obviously Brent Rooker, obviously Tyler Soderstrom, and then they had that rookie Nick Kurtz last year who are just massive run producers. But that's about it when you look at their lineup in terms of people that scare you versus you go up against the Yankees, you go up against some of these other teams in the American League that have 5, 6, 7 guys that can produce runs consistently. That is the only concern I have with the A's is getting 81 home games in that park. They're not going to have the horses, I think, to keep up with teams in a slugfest. On the road, they could actually be one of the better teams on the road, I feel. Because Luis Severino is a prime example. You look at Luis Severino last season, he signed the 3-year, $75 million deal. He was 8-11 with a 4.54 ERA, which doesn't seem that bad. He was 7-2 with a 2.26 ERA away from Sacramento. Like, he dominated on the road last year. And that's the thing. Like, you could have an A's team that I would not be surprised if the A's had the best road record in baseball or close to the best road record in baseball. Because getting out of Sacramento is going to help guys like Severino. It's going to help some of their pitchers. And then now you're not going to have to worry about putting up 12, 13 runs a game because of the way your park plays. Now you can get away with 5 runs, 6 runs a game, and they have guys that can do that.
I agree.
Clint said they have the best name, too. They have the best Korean name on this team. It's a Korean right-hander. He's pitched 3 years in the minors now. His name is, this is going to be fun, Chen Zhang Ho Zhuang.
Nope, not even going to try it.
Chen Zhang Ho Zhuang, that's his name. He has got a 3.55 career ERA in the minors. He had a breakout 2024 where he went 6-2 with a 2.09 ERA in 23 starts. Last season, he was 6-11 with a 4.08 in AAA, but again, you're playing in a AAA ballpark. So he's one of those guys that's battling it out for one of the rotation spots right now.
So Clint said Trout's career is similar to Ken Griffey Jr. in terms of success in the early years. Injuries derailed the later years of his career.
No, Griffey still hit 600 home runs.
I see where he's going with it, though.
I do too, but Griffey still was producing even at like his age 38 season. He was still giving you 35, 40 home runs. Like Mike Trout hasn't been the Mike Trout that he was in about 5 years.
And Clint was pointing out that almost every baseball YouTuber he watches makes videos on how bad the Angels ownership is. Oh, Clint, it's a joke.
You own a team in the second biggest market in the United States behind New York. But when it comes to financial, money-wise, you have the richest market in the country, but yet
Yeah.
you don't do anything to help your team win.
Now, I, for one, in my standings prediction, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on the A's lineup. I actually think I like it more than you because I agree with you on every player you brought up. Tyler Soderstrom, 25 homers last year, 93 runs batted in. Big thumper in that lineup. Brent Rooker, who's been nothing but a power hitter since getting to Oakland. He's got what? 99 home runs in 3 years.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to say this still. They're not big mashers, but they still have other guys. Lawrence Butler last year for them hit 21 home runs.
18 of them though came
Jake,
at home. That's the issue.
oh, I understand. Well, yes, and I understand that, but I have to judge them off
Yeah.
where they play. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Jacob Wilson last year was an all-star at shortstop. I still like him a lot. Jeff McNeil they brought over as a veteran in that lineup. Now, I don't know what Jeff McNeil is at this point in his career, but
He'll be their leadoff hitter just because he gets
yeah,
on base.
exactly. And then again, Nick Kurtz. I think Nick Kurtz may be, ballpark or not, one of the better first basemen in baseball in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, in his 117 games, 36 homers, 86 RBIs, 290, a 383 on base, and 1,002 OPS. Like, for a rookie, that's ridiculous. Now, like we said, the ballpark does help a lot. I'm not denying that. And then at catcher, they still have Shea Langoliers, who also hit 30 home runs last year. I think this A's lineup, it's not, I know how you said the Dodgers lineup can carry their team. Well, the A's lineup is going to have to carry their team because even on the road, I don't like their pitching. I don't love Severino. I don't love Aaron Savali. I don't love a lot of those guys. But when you have that much power in a lineup, I am intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a bunch of young talent, like you said, they just locked up Soderstrom over the offseason.
And last offseason, they locked up Rooker.
Yeah. And again, Jacob Wilson's entering his third year. Nick Kurtz is entering his second year. And if they're healthy, we know
Nick Kurtz will get his extension this year. They will lock Nick Kurtz up.
He'll get that 10-year, $50 million extension the A's like to throw out because they don't like to spend money. But again, some of these players will take those deals because of how uncertain the future is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the A's finishing third for just because I love the lineup. I love all the young players in it, and I really do like the lineup. So I have them finishing third.
I have Houston in third just because it's Houston. I mean, they're not the same. They're not the same Astros team they once were, but it's kind of hard not to be. But you replace Framber Valdez with Tatsuya Imai, which I think is an upgrade, especially when you look at just the stuff that Valdez went through last year. You still have some big hitters in that lineup. Jordan coming back is going to be huge. Jordan Pena had a great year last year. Cam Smith, I think, is going to have a better year in his second year than he did as a rookie. I'm not going to be surprised if Isaac Paredes does re-sign with Houston. He is a free agent right now, but I'm not going to be shocked if Houston does bring him back on another one-year deal, which he was a very productive player for them last year. There is some questions when it comes to Houston's outfield and Houston's bullpen, but we've seen it the last 3 years. Like, they've started off really slow. And then all of a sudden you get to the All-Star break and Houston flips that switch, which at this point, that's kind of what I expect from the team.
Yeah. And Clint, I believe you're right. I think Kurtz did get off to kind of a slow start. So to put those numbers up after a slow first month, that's pretty damn impressive. So I guess our top two are the same again. I guess we have Texas finishing second.
I have Seattle finishing second.
What?
Yes. And
I got to hear this.
It's simple. Losing Eugenio Suarez to a lineup that needed that power hitter and not replacing him with a legitimate power hitter is going to hurt Seattle. That's something we've always talked about with Seattle. They've always had the starting pitching, which they have in Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and then the other guy that I can't think of, Brian Wu. Like, they always have the starting pitching to compete with any team. But it's always been the lack of consistent offense that has hurt that team. I do not expect Cal Raleigh to have the year that he had next year. So I think Cal Raleigh takes a step back. Randy Arozarena has not been the same player with Seattle that he was with Tampa. Julio Rodriguez had his MVP caliber season back in 2021 or 2022. He's been an average at best player the last couple of years. Yes, he can still get you the 30 home runs, but he's a 230 hitter now, not a 290 hitter. Like, Eugenio Suarez in that lineup was a bat that you knew was going to give you 45 to 50 home runs. You knew he was going to give you 120 RBIs. And you let him walk for $15 million to the Reds, and you did not replace his production.
Yeah, and I honestly think, I mean, I get why they did it. I think look, they got Brendan Donovan, and he's not a power hitter like Suarez, not even close. And I think we all are aware of that. But I think they're trying to get more of putting the ball in play more over just standard power. I mean, Donovan does that. Josh Naylor does that. I think this lineup is still good enough to win the AL West. I think Donovan's a good piece. I think Julio's going to have a big year. I don't think Cal's going to hit 60, but a down year, maybe 45.
Yeah.
So, and yes, Arozarena wasn't the player he was in Tampa, but last year he still hit 27. He still hit 27 bombs and had 32 doubles. And we know what he can do in the postseason. For some reason, in the postseason, he turns it on. And again, that rotation is so damn good. They're 5 deep. You could go into the postseason 5 deep. How many teams do that nowadays? Not many.
No.
I still think the Mariners finish first place and win this division. And I like Texas. I like the revamp. The Simeon Seager thing take your pick. Who's getting hurt this year, guys? But I love the addition of Brandon Nimmo. They need it. They desperately needed outfield help. Not to mention, I can't stand, as a Phillies fan, I despise Brandon Nimmo, and I can't stand a guy that sprints to first base on a freaking walk. So, not only did you get him out of my freaking division, you got him out of the National League. So I'm happy about that. They still have Corey Seager. Mm-hmm. They still have Wyatt Langford, who I think they are expecting a big year from.
He looks. Last year, Wyatt Langford looked like he was out of shape, kind of for part of the year. He looks like he's in great physical shape right now.
So, I mean, they still have him. They're going to have Nimmo, who had a good year for the Mets last year. It really wasn't about trading him because he was bad. He was trading him because they wanted some infield help. And I think they saved a little money because I think his contract was worth more than Simeon's. So,
and they got Jack Peterson.
Oh, good Lord, you want to talk about out of shape?
I don't care if he's out of shape. The guy produces in the playoffs. He is a playoff masher.
I think a big key to this is Josh Young. Can he get back to what he did in 2023 on the team that won the World Series?
Right.
But I still like the top half of that lineup. Now, towards the bottom half, it's a little questionable. I got Jake Burger as a wild card on this team. If he could get back to that guy that was with the Marlins, I think it could help them a lot. I mean, he wasn't terrible last year, but the power was down a little bit. If he can give them that 25 to 30 homer power, which not a great ballpark for right-handed hitters. Go ask Adolis Garcia that.
Right.
But the reason I have them in second is I like the top half of the rotation. The bottom half is kind of concerning with guys like Kumar Rocker. They have, Cal Quantrill's an option there. He's not. But the top 3, healthy. DeGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, Mackenzie Gore. Now, Gore's still a wild card, too. He didn't look great last year, but that ballpark in Texas probably helps him better than the one DC did. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I like Texas in areas. I like the top half of their rotation. They're not as strong as Seattle's. I don't think their bullpen is as strong as Seattle's. I still don't think their lineup is as strong as Seattle's. I think they're about 4 to 5 guys that I'm confident in. In Seattle, I'm confident a little more. Donovan, Rodriguez, Naylor, Arozarena. Who am I missing?
Raleigh.
Like I'm more confident in that Mariners lineup still, even though they lost Suarez. I think they're going with more of the approach of we need to put the ball in play more. As awesome as all that power is, Donovan is a guy that puts the ball in play more. I think they're taking a different approach. I still think they have the power with Raleigh, Julio. And I think Naylor could. I think Naylor could have more power in that ballpark too. I don't think Naylor's played in great ballparks. I mean, Cleveland's okay, Arizona's okay, but he's also a guy. He's not going to hit you 40, but he can hit you 25 and hit 290 for you.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. You're thinking of last year. Not only did they didn't just add Suarez at the deadline. They also added Naylor. So now you have Naylor for a full year. So I still like it a lot. I think Seattle is still the odds-on favorite to win that division.
I mean, I'm not gonna be shocked if they do. I like the addition of Mackenzie Gore to Texas. I think is huge for that rotation. Getting Jacob DeGrom back in that rotation is huge for Texas. Coomer Rocker is huge for that rotation. Jack Leiter, I expect to have a breakout season this year, is huge for that rotation. And may I remind you that they brought back Jordan Montgomery, who became a star with the Texas Rangers during their playoff run when they won the World Series. He is another addition to that rotation who not only knows what playoff success feels like, but he knows how to pitch in that ballpark.
That is true. But no, back to what you're saying with and what Clint said, because Clint said it too here about Kumar Rocker, that he's a player to watch for him. He needs to see him take a big step. He does, because if they are going to want to compete with Seattle, Rocker and Leiter have to be able to produce because, like we said, there are not many teams in Major League Baseball that can go 5 deep on a starting rotation like the Mariners. The Rangers could if those two and their stuff translate to improving. But the fact that I still have question marks about both of them, that's why I give Seattle the edge. And I still like Seattle's lineup a little bit more.
Yeah.
So there's still a little more star power in it, too. I mean, Julio and Cal Raleigh. I mean, yes, Texas has Seager, but outside of Seager, who would right now be the second best player in the Rangers lineup?
Right now?
Yes.
Taking Langford and Seager out of it?
I didn't have. Would it be Langford?
It would be Langford. I think Langford's actually the best player on that team.
Okay, well, I'm just saying because Seager, proven commodity, World Series MVP, yada yada. I'm just saying, like, if you take Seager out, who's the seasoned guy, then it's Langford. I still like this. I still think Seattle's better. I still and it could be marginal. It could be by like a few games. Like you said, anywhere from Houston, Oakland because of their lineup, the Athletics, Sacramento A's and their lineup, Texas and Seattle. We could be talking about a 10-game swing between all 4 of these teams.
We could be. And that's what I said. Angels are going to be 25, 30 games out. Like, they're not even going to be in the conversation.
They stink.
But the other 4 teams, I think, are all going to be separated between 8 and 10 games one way or another. It's just a matter of how they finish and, I guess, who gets hot at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. Clint said Josh Naylor will give you 280, 25 bombs, and he'll love striking out curveballs in the dirt. Clint, who doesn't? Ooh, Clint's throwing some shots at Julio, saying he looks like he got his money and he's happy.
That's kind of what I said. Like, Julio was playing like an MVP up until he got paid. And since he's gotten paid, he's still been a productive player, but not the player he was before he got paid.
And I don't disagree with that.
And if he would have continued to play at the level he was playing at before he got paid, Seattle's in the World Series last year, not Toronto. They need that MVP caliber player in their lineup, and Suarez would have been it. He fell apart in Seattle because I don't think he was fully healthy after he got hit in the hand. As much as they want to say that he was, I don't think he was. Because the power was not there last year in Seattle, and he's not one of those guys that just is going to forget how to hit home runs.
No, absolutely not. And now what you're saying is, like, I do agree with you to an extent. Like I said, I think they changed their philosophy of thinking with the lineup. They want to put more balls in play, which is why Donovan was brought in. But to replace, you still have to find a way to replace some of the power that Suarez left and some of the run production. Julio has to be that guy. Especially if you got the big dumper hitting behind you, there's no reason Julio shouldn't accidentally walk into 35 and 100 this year. Accidentally should walk into it because you're going to have Donovan and guys like him and Arozarena, because Arozarena is going to hit in front of Julio, right?
I believe Donovan is hitting
second.
First or second.
So, and Arozarena last year was leadoff hitter, so you're probably going to have those two at the top of the order. So you're going to have guys on base, and you got the big dumper hitting behind you. There is no reason Julio should not accidentally hit 35 and drive in 100 this year.
Yeah.
That should be accidentally he should do that, and he should hit 280 without a freaking problem.
Right.
So if the Mariners want to replace some of that run production from Suarez, it has to be Julio. Because I think even if Cal doesn't hit 60, I still think he's going to hit 40 and drive in 100.
And that's the main reason I felt they needed to keep Suarez, because they can go with that approach. Like, you have guys like Brandon Donovan, Josh Naylor that are going to get on base. You have guys in Randy Arozarena and Julio Rodriguez who they're going to be the players that they're going to be. But let's just say that you're not getting the home run production from Julio, from some of these other guys. At some point, teams are going to start pitching around Cal Raleigh. And if you don't have another power bat behind Cal Raleigh to protect him, to prevent him from getting potentially walked, it's going to hurt this lineup, which is why keeping Suarez is so crucial, because you can hit Suarez directly behind Raleigh. And now teams are forced to pitch to Cal and forced to pitch to Suarez. Even if Suarez is a strikeout or bust or a home run or bust player, just his presence alone behind Raleigh would help that lineup, because you're forced to throw to Raleigh then. Now, teams are going to take the approach of where if nobody else in that lineup is beating you, they're not going to pitch to Raleigh.
You're going to have to, like I said, I think Arozarena and Donovan are going to hit 1-2. Julio's going to hit 3. Raleigh will hit 4th. You are going to need a big year for Josh Naylor, because he is probably the best protection option for Cal Raleigh. I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's a big year coming for him.
My understanding is they're going to have Naylor hit 3rd.
Oh, so what are they going to? So they're going to back everybody else up?
Raleigh stays 4, and Julio goes to 5.
Oh, now that's what concerns me, because who's protecting Julio?
Well, that's the thing. They're hoping that moving Julio to 5 can help him get back to where he was, because he's hitting behind Raleigh.
It could. I also think
that's where the Suarez thing was. He would have been your number 5 hitter, and you could have put Naylor 6. And guess what? If Suarez is your 5 and Naylor's your 6, you have to pitch to Suarez, because you don't want to put multiple guys on base for Josh Naylor who knows how to put the ball in play. So now you have to pitch to Suarez.
It's going to be a very interesting AL West. I think the AL West is going to be really interesting this year, because there's a lot of offense in these teams. You got the Astros still have, if Jordan's healthy, we know what he can do to a lineup. The A's have a bunch of talented young players. The Mariners have a very interesting lineup. And the Rangers, a lot has to go right, but I like the potential. But outside of that, Dustin, do we have anything else we want to bring up?
No, I don't think we do. I don't think there's been any significant injury news or any war chest news breaking since we've been on air, so I don't think we got anything to add.
All righty. Well, guys, just to give you a little heads up, little program announcement for next week. We'll be on next week for Hitting Home. We're going to be on Thursday next week at 10 a.m. We have a special guest lined up to be with us, so get ready for that. We're going to keep that until next week when we'll tell you who it is. But I want to thank everybody for throwing their comments in today. Andrew, Orlando, George, Clint, always appreciate you guys throwing in your comments. We want to say thank you all for joining us this morning. It was a fun show, knocked out a lot of topics, an absolute lot of topics. Next week, Thursday at 10. But for the rest of this week, you have Birds of the Gridiron, our Eagles exclusive off-season show this Friday at 8. And we'll see you guys then. So, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And we will see you guys next time. For Dustin Reese, I'm Sam Nelson. Have a good day, everybody.
The following has been a presentation of 609 Sports Talk Radio.
Sam, what did you do?